Alright, welcome to second episode of Team Fight Breakdown, where we take a look at team fights and their results, the mechanics behind them, how they got started, the results of and aftermath of these team fights in League of Legends, right? So, if you didn't see episode 1, I would highly suggest that you go ahead and go do that. This is actually the same game, but earlier, toward the mid-game. So we took a look at the late game team fight. Now we want to take a look at how kind of we got there in the mid game. So the setup right here is that I am playing a Cho'Gath at top lane, and my team is taking Drake right here. I'm duo queuing with Greatest Malphite on Nautilus, and we're taking a look at how this fight occurs and the results of it. And I'll tell you, it's a huge swing in our direction. Even though we are up, it's even bigger by the time this episode is going to be done. So what ends up happening is my team, the red team, seeing that Thresh has gone back and Caitlyn is still in Fountain, they're about to begin by taking Dragon. Lux at their mid laner and Camille, their jungler, can't really take on 4 members by themselves to try and contest this. During this time, I am actually going to die here. So, yeah, I'm going to end up dying to a Renekton dive, but we're going to pay more attention to the fight that occurs afterwards. Alright, so I'm going to let this play out in full speed, and then we're going to talk about the breakdown of it, of what occurs afterwards. Alright, here we go. So, Dragon is going to get taken by the red team here. Lux is going to do a really good job of trying to steal it. So she waits till it gets really low and ends up ulting it, but not right before the Smite and Aurelion finish it. This Smite is still ready, as you can see. So I end up dying here, right under a Renekton dive, and the bottom lanes go back to where they were supposed to go, and the mid lanes go back to where they're supposed to go. The jungles end up going back to where they're supposed to go. No one's trying to waste any time. So what ends up happening on the setup here is this. Greatest Malphite, the Nautilus, sees that there are wards in these bushes and attempts to clear them, right? So he's going to clear them, and they get a little bit low off of that, right? So both Caitlyn and Thresh miss some important cooldowns, but they just clear each other's wards over and over again, and Greatest Malphite takes several hits. Now, this is where things go wrong, and I'll just let this go ahead and play out, but Thresh attempts a flash hook, and chaos ensues. All right. So what ended up happening here? We traded we traded each other's turrets, top and bottom. So Renekton happened, I think, yes, it looks like Renekton does get the turret right before Aurelion finishes the turret along with Jhin. So Drake goes over to red team. We trade 2 for 3, and we get a tower, right? The second tower of the game. So there's no more Dragon up or at all, right? But that's not an issue, and Renekton's just sort of solo farming by himself, right? And in fact, Camille goes a little low, but nothing ends up happening there. Interestingly enough, so let's go ahead and break down that actual fight itself. So right, here's the setup, right? So here, Thresh flash hooks, and actually successfully lands that hook onto the Nautilus. And now that's not really the target that you want to go for, obviously, right? And during this whole time, I'm sitting in base like, oh, I'm looking at this fight about to go off, right? And I'm communicating with my Nautilus, who's duo queue with me. I'm saying in comms, hey, let's go ahead and go in on this, right? And so I see that they've cleared wards, they're trying to get in that fight. And I'm going to teleport behind them, and this is super critical, right? In fact, I think I can teleport here as well, but I teleport right behind them. Oh no, sorry, this is theirs. Just kidding. Anyway, yeah, I teleport right behind them. We start that fight. He knocks them up locks him in place with that snare, and Caitlyn's flash is down at this point, right? So there's nothing that she can do, and Nautilus is hooking him back constantly. Lux uses her snare here, and Jhin, who is now safe, can go ahead and start ulting, right? So I immediately use the Scream and the ult to evaporate Caitlyn, make sure that she's no longer in the picture. And Lux is in trouble now, right? So first of all, she's getting hit by several skills and the Rupture, right? So the Rupture goes down, hits her. Multiple of these Jhin shots are also hitting her, and this last shot is very crucial. Hits her right on the money and enables me to get an auto attack on it. Then Aurelion Sol joins, right? Because he knows that something's not quite right. Lux hasn't been in lane for a while, so he follows her right in the action. Good on him. Deals a whole bunch of damage, right? And then they start focusing me, right? Because the tower's focusing me, so it's reasonable. But honestly, not such a great decision because it's Cho'Gath, and it's really hard to kill him. So I'm tower diving at this point, rupture both of them in the air, auto attack him. Jhin comes in, looking for a flash and finish. I get a triple kill, right? So that's a huge, huge deal on this Cho'Gath main, that I get a triple kill. Camille shuts me down right there. Jhin takes a couple hits. Really, honestly, Aurelion Sol could have probably tanked the turret a couple more hits so that Jhin could have come in for the finish, but he can't tank hits as well. So it's possible this secondary dive right here could have been even better, but this was played quite well, right? Another thing here to note is that once I've been hooked, I realize as a Cho'Gath that there's very little that I can do. Like, I'm going to die here, right? And in particular, once I get ulted, right? So not only have I been pulled, not only have I been ulted by Camille, also the tower is focusing me, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. At this point, I'm Cho'Gath with no ult. I have a couple of cooldowns left. I have no escapes. My flash is still down for another 24 seconds. And I know I can't get out. So instead of like walking around with my head cut off, I'm looking to deal as much damage as possible before I die, right? I've just gotten a triple kill. There's nothing much else I can do. I'm going to die here. There's literally nothing else I can do, right? So they know this. Aurelion secures the kill. Jhin helps to secure the tower afterwards. So they've done a great job of dealing the damage, especially while I provide the CC and help them to knock up the enemies. So that sort of takes care of exactly how this fight developed and why, right? And shows you just how important teleport can be for a top laner. It's really important to carry because of these exact situations where you can set up for a gank, especially if you're the one carrying the CC. If you're the one carrying the CC, then suddenly that gank is going to be way, way, way more effective, right? If your bot lane is carrying the CC, then they can be the ones that start it. So this Nautilus was able to start it, and not only that, but I was able to follow up with more CC, buy time for Aurelion Sol to show up and deal even more damage than I could have possibly done myself, right? Important thing to note is that, yes, of course, that Renekton's TP was down as well. So me knowing this, I want to start a fight here, right? I want this to occur. I don't care if my top tower goes down. It's not that important in the long run. It is, of course, but it's not as important as a bot lane turret. And you might be asking why. Why are bot lane turrets more important than top lane turrets? Well, couple reasons. Because in the beginning of the game, Drakes are incredibly important, right? They're one of the most important objectives. Not to say that Rift Herald is not important, but Drake is extremely important because of the team objective focus that it brings to the table, right? Everybody gets a bonus from the Drake. And then second, in the end game, once these towers are down, if anybody besides somebody with teleport shows up in the lane, for example, I have teleport and Renekton have teleport, only me and Renekton should ever be clearing out waves at bottom lane at the end of the game. Why is that? Well, it's because at the end of the game, both teams will have enough damage in order to finish Baron. And of course, Baron isn't here, but both teams will have enough damage to finish Baron as a 5-man squad. So if somebody shows their face, say their jungler shows their face, say their bottom AD carry shows their face at bot, when the rest of the enemies are showing their face at Baron, it's an automatic Baron for the other team. Isn't that right? So that's why if you have these towers at bottom cleared out earlier in the game, it's going to make a big difference later in a Baron fight. So let's go ahead and recap the results of this fight. We end up getting Drake. We end up getting, and that's kind of the pre-fight, so I won't count that as part of the fight. But as part of the actual fight itself, we lose 2 members, but we kill 3 of their members and 1 of their towers. And we were just like a millisecond away from clearing that tower before Renekton got his top tower. So on Renekton's side, he did the right thing, right? He was able to get a tower because, well, he can't follow into that fight. He's useless in this fight. It's literally on the other side of the map. He can't reach it, right? So he did as the best as he could, which is to get 1 tower. And he happened to get it in time as the first tower, bonus gold, before before our team, Red Team, managed to finish the bottom tower. And that's good, right? So obviously, that's good on him. However, he overstays. So watch this. There's even more of a result to that fight than might be initially true, right? So now that the fight is ended, now that I'm dead, Cho'Gath is dead, Nautilus comes and runs in to get Renekton off the tower. Wukong is doing a ton of damage on him. Wukong may have died if he tried to duel Renekton one-on-one, but he doesn't do this, right? He just sort of helps clear the tower out, watches as Nautilus chases Renekton away, and this might seem like a poor chase, but the reason this is a good chase is because, first of all, Renekton doesn't have ult. He can't one-combo this Nautilus. And then now, guess what? Nautilus turns around, he has exhaust, he uses Q on him, snares him, I bring the CC, I scream at him, I flash ult him. So the secondary result of this fight is that, almost, blue team almost loses blue right there. Camille smites it away. Renekton dies to this, and watch this. Rupture onto Thresh, and an ult by Aurelion Sol. So after all of that happened at bot, the bot enemy team was sort of scattered. They didn't really know what to do next, right? Because they just lost the fight, they just lost their tower, they're resetting. So Caitlyn's back to like, oh, I need to farm mentality. So she's in farming mode. She's just went back to her bot, even though there's nothing going on anymore here. She's just clearing minions, trying to clear tower or whatever. But Renekton is like, okay, I got 1 objective. I want to push for more. He tries to, but he's overextended, right? So our red team comes out. We're grouped as 5. When they're only grouped as like 1, 2, at most, right? And so it turns into several 1v1s. And that's never something you want. And Thresh gets caught out because of it. And in fact, as we can see here, Aurelion Sol flashes, stuns over the top. Really good mechanics by him. Wukong comes and steals a kill. So we grab another kill off of this. So pre-fight, we get Drake. Post-fight, we get Renekton, Thresh, and Lux, right? So that's a big deal. We've gotten several things out of this, regardless of how you look at this, right? So the aftermath of that 1 teleport play basically swung everything around. And in fact, we should rotate top after this and take this tower, because who's going to contest it? Renekton's dead. His TP's up, maybe. But their mid laner's dead. Their support is dead. Bot lane's already dead, so there's no point in coming to contest this. So it's all good. So, great. That's going to go ahead and conclude the second episode of Teamfight Breakdown. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for another one.